When most people think Ford muscle, they jump straight to Mustangs and bosses. But in the shadows of those headlines was a different beast, a mid-size coupe born from NASCAR, built for the street, and redefined by every curve, scoop, and badge it wore. From factory freaks to luxury sleepers, these Torinos pushed boundaries. They weren't just fast, they were visual statements, shaping the way American muscle looked, sounded, and moved. This is a tribute to the rarest of them. The ones that didn't just follow the muscle car trend, they helped redraw the blueprint. Let's begin. Top 1. 1970 Torino Cobra Twister Special. Most people thought it was just a regional oddity. But what rolled out of Ford's Kansas City plant in November 1969 was anything but ordinary. The 1970 Torino Cobra Twister Special was a one-shot deal. Ford built just 90 units, all for the Kansas City sales district. It wore exclusive Twister Special graphics on the quarter panels and hood, a nod to the region's Tornado Alley identity. But this wasn't just a paint and decal job. Under the matte black shaker scoop sat the 429 Cobra Jet V8, delivering 370 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. Paired with a C6 automatic or a 4-speed top-loader, it could rocket from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. The SportsRoof body, competition suspension, and blackout grille gave it an intimidating presence, while inside you got high back bucket seats and an optional tack on the dash. Pure street weaponry wrapped in a regional promotion. But Twisters were never advertised nationally. Most buyers had no idea what they were getting. Many were beaten on back roads, wrecked at local drags, or stripped for parts. For decades, the Twister name meant nothing outside Kansas. Then the survivors started surfacing. Decals faded, but drivetrains intact. Collectors realized they weren't just rare, they were factory freaks. Today, a verified Twister Cobra can command $150,000 plus and holds a mythical status in muscle car folklore. And while the Twister screamed power through decals and displacement, Ford's next design statement didn't shout, it rumbled beneath the hood with Super Cobra Jet Fury and a face only an oil cooler could love. Top 2. 1970 Torino GT Super Cobra Jet, SCJ. From a distance, it looked like any Torino GT. But step closer, and the shaker scoop, oil cooler, and drag pack hardware told a different story. This thing wasn't built for cruising, it was built to kill. The 1970 Torino GT SCJ was Ford's most lethal street-legal weapon that year. Powered by the 1429 Super Cobra Jet, traded at 375 horsepower but likely pushing well over 400 horsepower, this was the kind of car you didn't just drive. You braced for it. The drag pack package added a solid lifter cam, 780 CFM Holy Carb, forged pistons, and a Detroit locker rear. Mated to a 4-speed top-loader, the SCJ launched from 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds and ran the quarter mile in the low 13S factory stop. Externally, it kept the GT's clean lines, twin racing mirrors, laser stripes, and that raised hood with Ram Air. Inside, it was all business. Bucket seats, full gauges, and just enough vinyl to remind you it came from Dearborn. But it wasn't marketed like a Boss Mustang or a Shelby. The SCJ GT flew under the radar. Many ended up in the hands of local racers who ran them hard and dumped them cheap. Few were documented. Even fewer survived. Ford only built fewer than 800 units in GT trim with the full drag pack SCJ combo, making verified survivors exceptionally scarce. Today, a real SCJ, Torino GT with drag pack commands serious money, often $180,000 plus at auction. Once overlooked, it's now one of the rarest muscle Fords of the era, and one of the fastest. And while the SCJ roared in a straight line, another Torino quietly conquered altitude. Built not for speed, but to rule the Rockies in near-total obscurity. Top 3, 1969, Torino GT 390 High Country Special. Most muscle cars were bred for the track or the boulevard. This one was built for the mountains and then completely forgotten. The 1969 Torino GT 390 High Country Special wasn't a national release. It was a regional DSO package, offered only through Denver area dealerships. Ford gave the High Country Special a unique ordering code and subtle visual flair, but under the hood, it packed a 390 cubic inch FE V8 rated at 320 horsepower. that gave it respectable grunt at altitude, especially when paired with the optional C6 automatic or 4-speed top-loader. Exterior trims varied. Some wore laser stripes, while others remained understated. Inside, it was all Torino GT, bucket seats, wood-grain dash, and optional console shifter. Built-in limited quantities, estimated fewer than 300 units. This Torino was intended to give Colorado buyers a little more muscle for their mile-high roads. But without badges or fanfare, the High Country Special was overlooked. It didn't make the magazines, no marketing push. Most buyers didn't even realize they owned something special. Over the decades, these cars disappeared into scrapyards or were rebadged as generic Torinos. Today, finding a real '69 High Country Special is like hunting a ghost. Verified survivors with matching numbers and DSO paperwork can fetch well over $90,000, especially restored examples with factory air and GT trim. From a forgotten regional run, it's become a prized mystery among Ford collectors. And while this Torino was built to breathe thin air, the next one was sculpted for airflow. Its fastback silhouette and Cobra jet heart would redefine what Ford muscle looked like in 1970. Top 4. 1970 Torino GT Fastback, 428 Cobra jet. By 1970, the fastback muscle car was on borrowed time. But Ford wasn't going out quietly. They gave it a Cobra jet and let it roar. The 1970 Torino GT Fastback was a visual knockout. With its long-sloped roofline, semi-tunneled rear glass, and widened stance, it looked fast just sitting still. But in rare form, when ordered with the 428 Cobra Jet V8, it backed up the looks with serious firepower. 360 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque. The functional Ram Air shaker scoop signaled business, while the optional drag pack delivered 3.91 gears and an engine oil cooler. Inside, it was pure muscle elegance. Vinyl bucket seats, full instrumentation, and center console shifter. Paired with a 4-speed top-loader, it launched from 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds, making it one of the fastest GTs Ford ever built. Yet, despite its raw power and design, the 428 CJ Fastback lived in the shadow of Mustangs and Boss cars. Many were stripped for parts, raced to death, or repainted without the GT trim, erasing their identity. Production numbers were low, fewer than 500 in this exact configuration. Today, the surviving CJ Fastbacks are cult classics. Restored examples with full drag pack and original drivetrains routinely pass the $100,000 mark, and their rarity makes them high-demand gems at blue-chip auctions. While the Fastback's curves cut through the wind, Ford's next aerodynamic masterpiece was designed to cut through NASCAR itself, until politics killed it and rarity resurrected it. Top 5. 1969 Torino Talladega Spoiler 2. It looked like a Torino stretched in a wind tunnel. Because it was. But this wasn't just design. It was Ford's secret weapon for the Oval Wars. The 1969 Torino Talladega Spoiler 2 was the result of Ford's obsession with NASCAR dominance. To counter Dodge's Charger Daytona, Ford needed more than horsepower. It needed sleekness. So engineers extended the front clip by nearly 6 inches, reshaped the grille into a flush-mount oval, and dropped the rocker panels to cheat the wind. Underneath, they slotted in the 428 Cobra Jet Ram Air V8, making 335 horsepower, conservative on paper, brutal in practice. Paired with a C6 automatic and 3.25 rear gears, it wasn't built for street brawls. It was built to sustain 190+ miles per hour on NASCAR superspeedways. Inside, it remained Spartan. Bench seat, column shifter, and little else. Just pure race-bred muscle with a vig. Only about 750 units were built for homologation, barely enough to qualify for NASCAR entry. Then came the blow. NASCAR changed the rules in 1970, capping aero car dominance. Just like that, the Spoiler 2 became obsolete. Most were dumped onto dealership lots with little explanation. Today, they're unicorns. Restored Talladegas fetch up to $125,000, but prices keep climbing. Their oddball aero design and low production make them one of the most coveted Ford muscle cars ever built. Half NASCAR, half ghost story. But while the Talladega carved its legend on high banks, the next Torino rewrote the rules from the inside out, blending chrome, comfort, and quiet menace into a luxury coupe nobody saw coming. Top 6. 1970, Torino GT, Brougham 429 Thunderjet. It had vinyl trim, chrome everywhere, and a name that sounded like it should be chauffeured. But under the hood, this Brougham hid a street brawler in disguise. The 1970 Torino GT Brougham was Ford's answer to the growing appetite for muscle luxury hybrids. With its upscale badging, wire hubcaps, padded vinyl roof, and plush interior, it looked like a mid-tier executive's cruiser. But buyers who ticked the right boxes got a very different beast. The 429 Thunderjet V8, cranking out 360 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. This wasn't just muscle, it was brute torque wrapped in a gentleman's overcoat. Inside, you'd find wood-grain dash inserts, optional air conditioning, and thick bench seats worthy of a Lincoln. Outside, the GT-specific grille and subtle laser stripe gave it a sleeper stance. Paired with a C6 automatic, the Brougham could sprint from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, shocking anyone judging it by its badges. The Brougham GT looked like high-end luxury, but hit the gas and it was deceptively brutal. Ford built a total of approximately 31,454 Brougham hardtops, including both 2- and 4-door body styles, during 1970. However, while the Thunderjet engine was available, it was rarely selected. According to VIN data and production records, only around 500 to 600 Broughams left the factory equipped with the 429 Thunderjet V8, making them extremely rare. Even fewer remain untouched today, as many were downgraded or dismantled over the years. Today, collectors who stumble upon a true GT Brougham 429 consider it a jackpot. Restored examples, with factory-build sheets and the big block drivetrain, can breach $85,000, $100,000, especially with original interior appointments. It's one of the most unexpected muscle gems Ford ever built. But while the Brougham whispered luxury, the next Torino howled through dual ram air scoops, bringing raw aggression back to the surface in one of the meanest Cobra builds of the era. Top 7, 1969. Torino Cobra 428 CJ Ram Air. No stripes, no spoilers, just menace. This was the Torino Cobra stripped of politeness, just engine, intake, and a whole lot of fury. In 1969, Ford dropped the pretense and gave street racers exactly what they wanted: a mid-size car with big block power and nothing to prove. The Torino Cobra came standard with the 428 Cobra Jet V8, but when paired with the Ram Air induction system, the game changed. Now pushing a conservative 335 horsepower, though real output was closer to 400 horsepower, this car was all business. A functional shaker scoop fed cool air straight into the Holly carb, and when ordered with the drag pack, you got 3.91 gears, an external oil cooler, and solid lifters. 0 to 60 came in just 5.8 seconds, and the quarter mile in the low 13s. The SportsRoof design gave it sleek fastback lines, but the lack of ornamentation made it look almost anonymous. Inside, it offered bucket seats, a floor mount shifter, and full instrumentation. Spartan, but focused. Torino Cobras weren't pampered. They were flogged at the strip and on the street. Many were modified, blown up, or crashed. Out of the roughly 14,000 Torino Cobras produced in 1969, only around 3,500 were built with the Ram Air induction system, and drag pack-equipped survivors with matching numbers are now ultra-rare. Today, a documented Cobra 428 CJ Ram Air can top $125,000, especially with drag pack options and factory color schemes. Once dismissed as a Fairlane with an attitude, it's now revered as one of the sharpest street hitters Ford ever built. And while the Cobra defined pure aggression, Ford's next Torino balanced muscle with open-sky elegance, bringing drop-top drama to the GT badge in one of its rarest forms. Top 8. 1970 Torino GT Convertible 351. It was built for sunshine, not quarter miles. But under the summer vibes lived a V8-powered rebel that refused to be just a cruiser. The 1970 Torino GT Convertible offered something rare in muscle car land: power with a breeze. Just over 3,900 units were built, and even fewer came equipped with the 351 Cleveland V8, Ford's new high-revving small block that punched out 300 horsepower in 4-barrel trim. Paired with an FMX automatic or 4-speed, The drop-top GT could sprint to 60 in just over 7 seconds, with a top speed near 120 miles per hour. The convertible body sat on reinforced rails for torsional rigidity, while exterior touches like GT badging, sport mirrors, Magnum 500 wheels, and laser stripes gave it the same aggressive edge as its hardtop cousins. Inside, it delivered a blend of sport and style, high-back buckets, wood-grain inserts, but most buyers didn't want convertibles for speed, they wanted comfort. So many GT convertibles were ordered with base engines and soft suspension. The high Ascension, 381 versions, were passed over, forgotten, and eventually vanished into junkyards and barns. That makes documented 351-pounder GT convertibles incredibly rare today and surprisingly valuable. Restored examples with factory buckets and performance trim now reach $85,000, $100,000, with value climbing fast thanks to their blend of style and muscle. And while this Torino let you hear the wind in your hair, the next one sharpened every angle, redefining the GT form in its purest, most underrated fastback silhouette. Top 9. 1968 Torino GT Fastback. Before Ford's muscle game went big block crazy, it started with this: clean lines, lean power, and a fastback that turned heads before it broke speed limits. The 1968 Torino GT Fastback marked the birth of a new nameplate. Replacing the Fairlane GT, this was Ford's bold step into mid-size performance. The fastback roofline flowed seamlessly into the tail, giving it a near aerodynamic shape that looked like it belonged at Daytona. But under the hood of many early GTs wasn't a fire-breathing big block, it was the 302 cubic inch V8, delivering 210 horsepower in 4-barrel trim. Paired with a C4 automatic or top-loader 4-speed, and weighing in at just over 3,000 lps, the 302-powered Torino could reach 60 miles per hour in under 8 seconds, respectable for its size. Inside, it featured bucket seats, optional full console, and wood-grain accents, setting a tone of sporty sophistication. But in an era obsessed with cubic inches, the 302 GT got lost in the noise. Most were optioned as family cars, driven daily and discarded without a second thought. Ford produced approximately 70,000 Torino GTs in 1968, but only a small percentage, estimated under 1,400, came with the 302 4-barrel. Matching number survivors are now exceedingly rare, especially in factory-correct trim. That makes surviving 302 GT fastbacks a design collector's dream. Restored examples with original trim, factory colors, and matching drivetrains now fetch $60,000, $75,000, especially when unmodified. It wasn't the fastest Torino, but it was the one that started the legacy. And while the 302 GT gave birth to the fastback legacy, the next Torino would take that silhouette and inject it with grabber paint, Cobra stripes, and just enough street venom to become a visual icon. Top 10. 1970 Torino Cobra Sports Roof Grabber. Some muscle cars flexed with raw horsepower. This one did it with attitude. Bright paint, blackout trim, and a stance that screamed, "Don't even try." The 1970 Torino Cobra SportsRoof was already a beast, but the rare grabber trim took it to another level. Drenched in colors like grabber blue or grabber green, these Cobras look straight out of a Hot Wheels fantasy. The SportsRoof body gave it a sleek, wind-cutting profile, while blacked-out grills, hood stripes, and Magnum 500 wheels completed the Street Fighter look. Underneath the flash was function, the 429 Cobra Jet V8, pushing 370 horsepower, backed by a C6 automatic or 4-speed top-loader. With the drag pack, oil cooler, and 3.91 gears, this Cobra launched to 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds, tearing through the quarter in the low 13s. Inside, it mixed muscle and style, bucket seats, full instrumentation, and a dash with race-bred purpose. But grabber Cobras were rarely ordered. Buyers looking for performance chose subtle builds, while flashy colors were dismissed as teenage toys. Out of nearly 7,700 Torino Cobras built in 1970, fewer than 350 were ordered with grabber trim and the 429 CJ combo. Many were repainted, de-striped, or scrapped. Survivors became urban legends. Now, they're visual gold. A true grabber Cobra with matching numbers, CJ, and factory paint is worth $125,000, plus climbing higher with documentation. It's one of the most collectible and photogenic Torinos ever made. And just like that, the Torino story closes, not with a whimper, but with a roar. From prototypes to paint-striped Predators, these forgotten Fords didn't just survive, they became legends in chrome. Thanks for watching. If one of these forgotten Tornadoes caught you off guard, hit like and subscribe. We've got more legends coming. Which one blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments. This is Muscle Cars Revolution, where lost muscle comes back loud.